happening today. Two brothers will face court charged over the killing of a 23-year-old woman in Queensland southeast. Chloe Jade Mason's family now hoping that they will see justice after she was allegedly gunned down in the front yard of a Caboolture home.
Live to Today Show reporter Andrea Carruthers in Brisbane. Andrea, good morning to you. The pair have been charged with murder.
Yeah, guys, it comes after what was quite a dramatic arrest. Cody Thompson and Kane Thompson Gleeson both will face the Brisbane Magistrates Court this morning accused of murder. The pair are accused of gunning down Chloe Jade Mason just 2 weeks ago on a Caboolture street, leaving her for dead. By the time police arrived, they found her unconscious on the footpath. Her family at the time launching an appeal for information alongside police because the brothers, they were questioned by officers but were released on insufficient evidence. That's what launched a manhunt. They were accused of going interstate, sleeping rough in a car before that arrest yesterday afternoon. Chloe Jade's heartbroken family speaking exclusively to 9 News.
Still processing the emotions as we speak. I'm not upset today, I'm happy. Someone needs to be held accountable. It's been too many weeks of pain and suffering for my family.
As I said, the pair will face court this morning, guys.
Andrea, thank you.
Let's go to breaking news overseas right now. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will step down as leader of his party and his country. Our US correspondent Jonathan Kersley is following developments. Jono, good morning to you. He's recently been facing mounting battles.
Mounting internal battles and huge domestic pressure over the state of Canada's economy. Justin Trudeau has announced that he will be resigning as party leader and as Canada's Prime Minister after serving more than 9 years in the country's top job. It was 2013 originally when he took control of the party's leadership, 2015 when he won the election in a whirlwind. But in the years that followed, he did see his support fall. There were scandals over various controversies around blackface photos that emerged from his university days. There was confrontations with leaders on the world stage, perhaps none more so than Donald Trump, who he feuded with over the course of many, many years. But Justin Trudeau, in essence, has decided that it is domestic issues that is the reason that he is going. There has been significant pressure from inside his own party. His deputy quit just a few weeks ago. And this 2025 is an election year for Canada too. So he has decided that he is not the best person to lead the party. This is what he had to say a little earlier today.
This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Trudeau's left-leaning Liberal Party is down 20 points in the polls, and he had recently travelled to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Donald Trump, who has threatened Canada with significant tariffs on its imports once he becomes the 47th Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. That meeting, though, didn't go down well. Trump has been mocking Trudeau, referring to him as the governor of the 51st state of America. In fact, just a short time ago, Donald Trump took to Truth Social to say the United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. If Canada merged with the US, there would be no taxes. So Trump's still pushing ahead with this rather, well, let's say left-of-field idea that Canada might actually merge with the United States.
Look, stranger things have happened in the world, Jonathan Kersley, as we both have seen in the last few years. So stand by for that one. Thank you so much. Well, a group of teenagers have been arrested after a crime spree in the Gold Coast. 3 boys nabbed by police and the dog squad after a stolen Nissan X-Trail was spotted in Nerang just before 5 p.m. The car was involved in several alleged offences over the weekend, including where a person was threatened with a knife. More than 200 juveniles have been charged with at least 400 offences since the new state youth crime laws were introduced just 3 weeks ago. Now to a Today weather alert. Sydney cleaning up this morning after a wet and wild southerly change brought down trees and triggered flash flooding. Today Sydney reporter Jack Hahn is in Double Bay for us. Jack, good morning to you. What suburbs were hardest hit?
Well, this is the biggest job cleanup crews are right now attending in Double Bay. You can see right now that they've got this entire street closed down. They're using chainsaws and a digger to cut up a tree. Then they are chucking that into a mulcher that is converting that into debris, putting it into the back of a truck so they can take it off to the tip. They are hoping to reopen Ocean Avenue very soon this morning, but This car has been completely destroyed. A vehicle has been destroyed when this tree came crashing down about 12:30 this morning. The southerly change moving up the coast all of yesterday afternoon, arriving in Sydney at about 10 and 11 o'clock last night, bringing with it a lot of rainfall. We saw 21 millimetres fall into the gauge in Campbelltown, 10 in Terry Hills and 13 in the city. The SES have been busy responding to 43 calls. A lot of them have also been in the Hills and Hornsby areas, but also responding to calls in Pitt Town and in Bankstown. And 2 weeks worth of rain expected to fall just today, so it will be another rainy day here in Sydney. Davina.
Welcome to that cruise ship who's arriving to a soggy Sydney this morning. OK, Jack, thank you so much. In a bid to mend the relationship between the Albanese and Netanyahu governments, Australia's Attorney-General Mark Dreyfus will visit Israel in the next few weeks. It comes a month after the Israeli Prime Minister accused the Labor government of anti-Semitism following an arson attack on a Melbourne synagogue. A new year, a new train pain. After a ceasefire over the festive period, rail disruptions are back on the table in Sydney. The Rail, Tram and Bus Union has told the government to expect major work bans from next week as thousands of Sydney-siders return to the office. It's demanding a 32% pay rise over 4 years. That's 3 times more than what the government has offered. Well, happening today, Victoria's newly appointed opposition leader will announce the team that he plans to take to the 2026 election. And it's not looking good for toppled leader John Pesutto, who will be forced to the backbench. Brad Batten's shadow cabinet expected to include his current deputy Sam Groth as Special Minister of State, as well as Brighton MP James Newbury as the state's shadow treasurer. The Prime Minister has branded the Coalition's decision to deport Novak Djokovic during the COVID-19 pandemic as hard to justify. Anthony Albanese criticised the Morrison government's reasoning after the tennis star spoke of the trauma that he feels every time that he now visits Melbourne. The then Immigration Minister Alex Hawke argued at the time in 2022 that Djokovic's presence in Australia would undermine our vaccine rules. US President-elect Donald Trump's election victory will be officially certified today by his former opponent, Kamala Harris. Let's go live to Nine's US correspondent Reid Butler in a very white Washington, D.C. Reid, good morning. It coincides with the anniversary of the January 6 insurrection.
That's correct, Davina. What we're seeing today is this really awkward scenario of Kamala Harris essentially presiding over her own defeat. In her role as Vice President, she is right now officiating, certifying those election results, an election, of course, which she lost badly. Normally, this kind of thing is very ceremonial, it is a formality, but that all changed exactly 4 years ago, January 6, 2021, when Donald Trump was refusing to concede defeat and his inflamed supporters mounted an insurrection at the Capitol building there behind me, causing a huge amount of damage and violence. 140 police officers injured, a protester shot dead, and there are even calls for the then Vice President Mike Pence to be hanged. Things very different this time round. For starters, there is a huge amount of security. There's a big black fence surrounding the Capitol building there this morning, a huge amount of police officers on the ground too, but thankfully things appearing to run smoothly. What's causing the most issues at the moment is this huge amount of snow in Washington, D.C. The city is absolutely blanketed in the stuff. It's part of a polar vortex weather system that is smashing eastern parts of the United States at the moment. Multiple states with emergency weather alerts in place. We're seeing airports really affected, freeways too, in some cases big trucks that are sliding straight off the road there. Temperatures likely to get to minus 50 degrees in some parts of the country. So things icy out here, things very icy in there in the Capitol building behind me. As for Donald Trump, on Friday he was due to be sentenced in his hush money conviction in a New York court. He has announced today he is attempting to delay that sentencing further and appeal it, even though the judge has said that he won't face any prison time for that conviction. Timing, though, is everything. The president-elect doesn't want any kind of punishment handed down this close to his inauguration. 2 weeks from now, he'll be back on the steps of the Capitol building behind me, benefiting from that peaceful transition of power 4 years on from the violent scenes we saw there. Davina?
OK, Reid, thank you.